Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever you are. I'm Vinny, the host of this in-event webinar today. Ask me anything about AI. We're going to talk about this great topic with a great guest. Unfortunately, one of them were a little bit sick. We hope she's going to be fine soon. And her and everyone can also watch this content on demand here on in-event platform on YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever you want to. First of all, we want to also put in the chat. We're going to have a polling where you're coming from today. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York. Very hot day outside. Hopefully, I have my AC on here. And so we know how massive and important AI is becoming among us. AI is not going to be going anywhere, going to be here to help our jobs get better, to help our event planning get better. And that's why we invited Zoya Cam, co-founder and CEO of AfterWork, this platform that using AI to enhancing event planning. Right, Zoya? Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Vinny. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Very, very excited for our chat today. My co-founder super apologizes for not being here. I think there's just a bug going around right now, so it's just unfortunate timing. But I'm sure that she maybe can join us either later or maybe asynchronously. But no, it's really powerful to be here today. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we know we have seen the impact, right, of AI in our day-to-day, everyday lives and jobs that can benefit a lot the workplace, that can benefit a lot the task we are doing. And to start, we have a very nice polling. I want everyone to go and answer about how many times have you been using AI? Are you using like a maybe ChatGPT weekly, daily, monthly? What is the frequency of this? What is the frequency you are using AI on your life? Like personally, I think I'm using weekly, maybe almost daily, but I would say today more weekly. I remember some days that I skip that I don't use, but every week I've been using AI. How about you, Zoya?
I think I use it every hour of the day. You know,
Yeah.
when you're building in something, it's really crucial to just know the ins and outs, and especially with all of the LLMs coming out and all of the updates coming out I would say like every week in different AI, models like OpenAI, Hugging Face, and then just like a few other startup companies. Like I'm using AI pretty much, I would say, every hour of the day.
Wow, that's amazing. And what are the main tasks you are running on AI? Is it more for from the beginning, like planning your day, having like a specific schedule of day, or this is to run content, to run also what you need to prioritize? Can you give us some a glimpse of what are the main benefits AI are bringing to you?
Yeah, so kind of I would take it from two standpoints. Definitely both in the personal, like personal at work and business at work. So because we're building in I feel like a lot of the research and reading I'm doing like professionally is also very much like how can AI really help event planning. Um and yeah, wait, is Vinny still here? Okay, perfect. Awesome. So essentially, what how AI works in our sort of our neck of the woods is there's a lot of stuff that goes into, let's say, like researching, reviewing, looking at articles. So a lot of my research time and my reading time has been amped up by AI. So there's great like summarizing apps. There's great apps to just like increase my, I would say, efficiency every day. So like I said, anything from research to news articles to different, I would just even say like even live news, like what's just to have like a hold on the industry. Like a lot of AI can kind of pull articles on who are the event leaders today or like what happened today. And that's just made me a lot more I would say, a lot better at my job at AfterWork. And then from, like I was saying, more of like a business kind of like what we focus on after work is building an AI too. So understanding, there's not a lot of reference points right now building with some of, the lane chain models because it's so new. So working with like what it can query, even prompt engineering has become really, really popular sort of in our neck of the woods. And so really working with that has been important.
That's awesome. Yeah, and sorry about the problem with AV. We were just chatting. We needed like a AI to solve some of those AV glimpses and issues. I think all event planner, we all face like those problems, right? With AV, there's nothing I think we can do that we're gonna put on zero. Like always, there is something going on. I think my camera just disconnected for a while here. Sorry.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's so funny. It's like there's the application right there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That yeah, so a lot of things is still we can improve, right? And one of the questions we heard up a lot it is what so people should be afraid. We heard a lot, right? How afraid society is about AI. What are those real um, threats that you see? What are the real problems that you can see with AI, not only in the event industry but in our society? Or should we accept and embrace and adopt as quickly as possible? What are your opinion?
So I don't think we should be afraid of AI. I think like we should be cautious and there should be like there should be ethical and moral kind of nature applied to it, but we shouldn't be afraid. Um, when we've been afraid of new technology advancements, like, when it was the Industrial Revolution, right? A lot of adopting that technology, people were worried like their jobs were, going to get taken or there was, something big was going to happen in the market. But when something like that happened in the market, it actually only created more jobs, more innovation, and more pushing for kind of what the future held for a variety of countries. So it's similar, and a lot of the AI community does talk about this. Is like it's similar in that moment where now deployment's gotten a lot faster, but it's to speed up already very, I would say, repetitive tasks that, you know, especially in the event planning industry, we do see so many like logistical things that are just like constant in nature, right? Like there's no way around it. And it's like we're sitting in 2023 and it's like, why isn't this a little bit more automated, right? Like, or why aren't the bugs fixed out here? So in terms of being afraid, like definitely, I'm definitely anti being afraid. I do believe that CEOs in AI do have an ethical responsibility to, not just take or steal data, not just, use users' data and kind of more, I would say, like, um, not in like the most ethical way, kind of like use people's data in different senses. So I would say be ethical, but don't be afraid.
Okay, yeah, I totally like maybe not 100% I agree, but first of all, we must be ethical, and this is what really can damage the world. Is not just the tool, but it's the people behind the tool. What are the reasons, right? They are using AI because you can use AI for a war, right? We have a war going on right now in Russia and
Mhm.
like Ukraine and Russia, and those people can be using and taking advantage more of AI for those fights, and those battles. And we want to stop those type of things, right? This is the type of thing we don't want people taking advantage of such a powerful machine and technology to have advantage of like in a war, right? But in a war, like I don't know, like people already do so much bad things. Like we should be discussing as well why we still have, right, like we are in 2023 as you mentioned, and we still have those major political problems. I think maybe we're gonna see this forever. But coming back to events, I've heard people losing their jobs already, not directly, not someone that I know directly, but I think Julius, we probably most of us we know Julius Solaris, and he tweeted all the day about this that he heard people messaging him about losing their jobs because of AI. So, and I believe that's gonna happen pretty fast. I'm afraid of like people losing their jobs a lot and not be able to, get a new job using AI. Because what we say a lot it is you need to people that advantage of those tools. So,
Hey, Vinny, you just cut out like I would say the last 5 to 10 seconds. Could you repeat your question?
sure. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's great. You're back.
Nice. Sorry. So Julius was mentioned, right? And I've heard it from friends here in New York as well that people lose their job because of a new AI technology that company enables. So my question is, how those people that are losing their job they will be able to learn faster, how to take advantage of those tools because this is what we see. People like us like the people that are around us that know how to use AI, they likely not to lose their job or they will find a job. They are likely to find a job because they are using AI in their day to day life. They are experiencing and they are learning so much with that tool. But the people that I see that will be losing their jobs, it is those that they don't know how to use the technology, right? And they needed to learn. So how can we in the industry teach event planners, teach event marketers to use AI?
So I'm actually really curious to understand like what jobs are being lost because where AI stands today, it's almost augmenting jobs. It's not take it can't where the language models are today and how they kind of sometimes go a little, I would say and we see this on chat all the time, right? Like if you type in, hey, can I get the phone number of XYZ restaurant? Either it says I'm an AI model or it'll sometimes return, the wrong phone number or the wrong website. So there is still a lot of human intervention needed. So I am curious to understand like what jobs and our CEOs or heads of companies just kind of like projecting out that they won't need these people or like what's going on in the industry and especially in event planning. I see, there's so many complex components that go into event planning, from planning logistics to coordinating people to coordinating vendors to emailing. Just like there's so much stuff that it eventually becomes very overwhelming for these teams, for these like, marketing teams or the events teams at companies, because even though there's a lot of support, there's not a lot of infrastructure. And that's what I think AI is really building is infrastructure for some of these planners to actually just tap into and actually resource themselves really well. In terms of sort of educating event planners, it's like in the consumer market, event planners have technology. They have the Knot, they have Zola, they have Wedding Wire, they have all of these very, these technology solutions that actually help them be better at their job. And that's where I kind of see AI, especially in the corporate event planning world, where it's still very archaic. It's still very much on Google Sheets, on Google Doc. And I see you nodding your head. It's like that those targeting those people and like helping bring their jobs into the 21st century, I think is very, very important. And in essence, like training event planners to actually use, I would say, data or use technology like AfterWork or even Invent is actually helping them just be more efficient so they're not burning out. Because one common sentiment that I've learned around event planners is they are burnt out after events. So actually, even circumventing that, a lot of this technology can do.
Nice. Yeah, that's very important. And the people that I've heard losing their jobs is more, I would say, in the event planning, it's more logistics tasks, as you mentioned, that are more repetitive tasks. So definitely those jobs are in a risk because The other person was in video editing. So this company, they started to
Mm.
use a video editing AI to probably cut some videos, to do cuts, to do trims. And yeah, definitely you will need to take advantage of those tools to improve on your job and create something that only a human with a specific background and context they can create. AI
Mhm.
won't likely to reproduce the same level, right? So we have a new question from Harpreet Singh. I want to understand how to upskill myself and be prepared for the change that is coming with AI. So yeah, very likely with this topic we were discussing about how event planners and any person in the industry can upskill with AI.
Yeah, so Harpreet, what I would mention to you is definitely play around with GPT, so Chat GPT. When you start to, I don't know how much you've played around with it, but start to ask it questions, especially if you're in the event space. Ask it different questions on kind of like treat yourself as a user that used your services and ask the bot those questions. What that actually helps you do is understand like how AI is generating, especially like how OpenAI models are generating responses, and that actually can also set you up for a very impactful path, I would say, in the event planning space. And another thing I would say is definitely like stay up to date on research. Like look at all the companies who are I think that you were mentioning with just event agnostic, but still in the space. Like video editing can be applied to a lot of different markets, but this was in this specific case. So look for technologies that are kind of not in the event space directly, but kind of sort of sector out and see, where is AI really coming in, and that'll really like help upskill you in understanding the market, understanding the lay of the land, and then as well as when you're working with an interface like chat, or there's a few others, like even some agent GPTs, you'll be able to like upskill yourself.
That's awesome. Yeah, checking here the maybe we can put on the screen some of the results of the polling we had.
Yeah, let's do it.
If we can highlight for us, please. And basically, 25% of people said that they never use ChatGPT. 25%. That's
Oh
a
wow.
lot, right? So definitely, I would say ChatGPT is a must for any professional. You must take
Vinny, is that
advantage of this.
is that in our audience today? 25% haven't used or
Yeah, in our
okay,
audience, yeah,
perfect, perfect.
exactly. That's our some people answering right now. Maybe I can click here next to show, and also where they're coming from. So yeah, 25%, 8% using daily, 41% using weekly. So
Wow, yeah, I used it.
and even like I had a fun experience with my wife. We accomplished like a 5-year anniversary of our wedding, and she asked ChatGPT like, what are the best things? What are the best restaurants to go for a 5-year wedding here in New York? And that led our choose. Like we pretty much were very influenced by the answer. So that was like a very fun experience that I had other day.
Yeah, it's so funny. I do similar things like what are, and the one thing about chat is it is only updated till 2021, like September 2021. So it's really interesting actually to even ask it like what are the best restaurants to the best of your knowledge today? And then it kind of references September 2021, which is it's an interesting it's an interesting little tidbit because sometimes it helps and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I've used it for like what are the best hikes in San Francisco?
Nice. Yeah, and I we feel the experience right with ChatGPT. It's way better than just doing a Google. We feel that we can going back and forth on those conversations with the ChatGPT, and that really of course, by the end of the day, I believe we are still on the power of making the decision, but there is a huge influence. So, for example, in my case, because I've heard before, the name of the restaurant was the Cafe River by the Brooklyn Bridge, and I've been walking by there many times. So when I first spot the name, I not even consider the other names. So I went directly to like, oh, this is the one I'm gonna choose because it was already in my mind
Oh yeah.
for so many times, for so many reasons. I had that uh, the name of the restaurant, the place of the restaurant in my mind. So when the AI recommended that for me, was like the perfect match. So I believe that's what we needed to do, right? We needed to come with our own context, our own background, and we're gonna use everything we have experienced. But then we can use AI to leverage this for our attendees, for our vendors, right? Is there any
Yeah.
particular advice that you give for how we can personalize and customize also the event content for individual attendees? We don't want to. We want to. I think personalization is more and more important, especially with AI now.
So the question is how to sort of personalize video content or video events.
Content in general. That can be video, that can be text generated content, but any type
Oh,
of content personalization. How can we do that for attendees?
yeah, so you hit the hammer on the nail, right? It's you're still in charge of the experience. So I would say like if you are like an event marketer or if you are sort of a specialist that kind of is in charge of getting people into the door, which has been a huge push, especially in 2023 of, with return to office and hybrid work. My best advice there is, you know, when you're personalizing content, you have to understand the audience that's coming. And if you're in charge of that experience, you're still sort of creating, let's say, verbiage for a networking event or a happy hour. And chat can actually get you, I would say, it can get you started at least. It can, you can say, like, I'm throwing a networking event. What are some best practices? Because if you do remember that, like in 2021, there it was like when we were just getting out of COVID. So you have to also look at information like that, right? So you're not getting the most up to date information on the content, probably, or like best practices for your networking event. And that's where the human expertise comes in, right? Like that's where, you know, you may, AI is not perfect by any means here, right? Even when I'm working in AI. So that is up to you then as the event planner to actually go on Google, talk to your network, bring your expertise into the world of event planning, and really, really ensure that the content that you're creating for your attendees has that human lens. Because let's be real, at any event you want to go to, you don't want it to be like this was planned like by a robot or robotically, right? Events are about community building, community gathering, bringing people together. And so you want to essentially create a very homey feeling. Um, so that's essentially how I would think about personalization of content. It's like bringing your own expertise into it, which where AI is not right now. And
That's awesome.
and yeah,
Yeah, totally agree. I think AI will improve, or they can cut things, like cut some edges that we needed to improve. But the whole big picture we needed to come with, and that takes a lot of research, right? You needed to research, you needed to know who are those people, what they're looking for, and looking for also benchmarking in the industry.
yeah, exactly. So, Vinny, I had a question for you actually. You
Sure.
mentioned how you chat for you was better than using Google. Can you talk me through that experience? Would love to learn.
Yeah, I feel like, especially now, every time I search something on Google, there are so many sponsored articles, sponsored links. I see like especially almost the whole first page, either on my smartphone on my screen. There's so many sponsored links that many times you don't trust, right? So I don't know, for example, and that comes also with a particular websites that you trust more. So if it's coming from New York Times, right, any type of, you're gonna trust a lot because of the publisher, right? But if it's on Google and that is sponsored link from, I don't know, any food company, personally, I'm not gonna trust that much. For like my food recipe, for the what's I should serve on my next event, whatever, I will trust first the publisher. But when I'm just doing like more generic research, I feel the experience with ChatGPT, um, like I can interact with that and say like I don't like this type of food, I don't like this and that, and they will bring me more ideas based on my opinion, based on my context. I feel these pretty much text generated content for me, it's way more direct than a bunch of links that most of them are sponsored.
Yeah, no, makes complete sense. Yeah, similar sentiment.
Yeah, so I think like and Google is aware about that, and that's why they also are taking advantage of working on their own AI generative tools. So we will see how our search experience will change. Of
Hmm.
course, we're not gonna change in 1 year, 2 years, but definitely in 5 to 10 years, we're not gonna be using Google the same way we are using today. At least not the same volume, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like even with Google coming out with Bard, they have strengths and they have weaknesses, and same thing with Chat. It has strengths, it has weaknesses. So there's an interesting there's an interesting user kind of divide there. And I'm curious too, like in our audience, like who's used Chat versus who's used Bard. Kind of Google's recommendation system.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think all the companies, all the big tech companies, they are running this race right now. That's the like a gold mine for them. And again, coming back to this topic, what are the ethical considerations, right? The CEOs and not just the CEOs, but everyone working with AI. What are those ethical considerations also regarding privacy, security, and the our data, right? The data we are sharing with AI. How ethical we must be with that? Great question, Fatma.
Yeah, so in my world, we believe in like transparency in all of the data we collect and how we're using it. So it's it's really about security around like, hey, if a user comes on, are they aware that, hey, this data will be collected? When you're on the phone, actually, when you're on the phone with like customer service, like United Airlines or something, and you're like, hey, I want to change my ticket, and they're like, this call may be recorded for quality and insurance. So that to me is actually very powerful how it's used in the tech world of like, hey, this what you're going to discuss, like is there a disclaimer like what you're going to talk about may be used for training and quality assurance, right, later on. That realm of kind of, how they disclose like what, like the data you're going to be talking about will be used to train either new people or just improve their algorithm. That needs to be ingrained in, I believe, in all technology startups, not even AI, like across the board, like, hey, if you partake in this, this is how your data is going to be used. um, and being honest about that data. I think far too long, a lot of us kind of just give up our data, but we're not sure on what's going on. We're like, hey, like, did they collect? Do they have? Some companies that I never gave my birth date have access to that. So it's like not using, like at After we don't use people's like birth dates, right? We just use like, hey, if you're, and right now we're not even we're still in beta testing, so our users are very very aware of like how we're using their prompting, and they're actually helping us. But when I know when we scale, it's like understanding that like if you're prompting it, prompt only that and use only the answers and the questions that your bot creates. Don't start to do the what I see too much is like the webbing that happens where people start using, very unstructured data sets, very, very large training models. And I feel like a lot of that actually goes to waste because it's not pertinent to your industry. Um, and that's kind of what I've seen a few times. But I think just honestly, data transparency, how it's being used, and as a user understanding that it's going to be used for quality and assurance. So if you're uncomfortable with it, don't partake, right? Like, don't be on there.
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, it's any terms of service, right? You if you don't agree, yeah, be away from that. Try to understand what are the terms of any service you're using, all the agreements related, and we can. But yeah, I think on the other hand, we must use technology for good. And the way we can do that, it's literally like discussing, have those discussions and improving. Right, we're gonna make mistakes as
Mhm.
humans, and changing, those terms for better. But it's hard, especially I feel the big tech companies like. For them, it's all about, like, especially when they're giving this tool for free. They Our data will be the way they make revenue, right? That's the pretty much the main way they're gonna make money.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in the past, I would say 10 to 15 years, we've given up a lot of our data, but also we've gotten a lot more, I would say we've gone more efficient, right? Like it's kind of weird. It's a trade-off. Like I was on YouTube the other day and I wasn't logged into my profile. It was just a generic profile. And it had all these like really random videos. And I was like, why can I not find any videos that are pertinent to me? And I was actually getting annoyed interacting with YouTube. And I'm like, this is so weird. And then I realized I wasn't signed in. And as soon as I signed in, it's like delight in technology. Like as soon as I signed in, it was like all these like cooking videos and trailers of movies I wanted to see, right? Like it was so quick. And I was like, wow, like this delight for me, because I use YouTube in very much of an entertainment, form. I was like, oh, amazing. Like I'm back on it, right? And it's jokes made about like people like who look at other people's TikTok algorithms, like they don't like it. So I think there is a trade-off as well, but now it's very aware of like what data you're sharing with something like YouTube, where you're like, okay, I'm gonna ask the app not to track, especially on iOS devices, right? Like you can ask the app not to track. But do I still prefer my algorithm to the generic algorithm? I have to say yes, right? Like I do like to be delighted by technology.
Nice, that's awesome. We had some messages here on the chat. Mark was saying about the polling we run. Other research showing that almost 75% of the event professionals are using AI daily. So that's great. Yeah, if
That's
that's
great.
great. If like way more people are embracing this for their jobs, especially because
Awesome.
if you are running events like every week, every month, there are tons of things that you want to find out, right? Like new trends, new opinions about the things you are doing. I think definitely um, those event professionals, they must take advantage of these pretty much daily. Yeah. Horit said that recently he wrote an anchor script for a reward and recognition event recently. Yeah, I've been doing this all the time as well, using either when I get copywriting, I run those copywriting as well on ChatGPT to improve my LinkedIn post as well. Like every time I post on LinkedIn, there is something coming from ChatGPT. Probably not everything. I don't like to use the basic structure that ChatGPT gives me. I think it's pretty much repetitive, but you can definitely improve your communication. And also, Mark asked about how can we train AI in ChatGPT and also which tools and add-ons for that already. What are the tools that you recommend for to improve like a specific AI? I think this is like for developers more, right? If you are a
Yeah.
developer, if you are a coder.
Honestly, it's how a lot of companies are training their AI. So build a database, build your information. It's it's very basic, but it's kind of like that's how you if you're trying to build in your own specific AI or your own specific tooling, trying to get a database, get access to information, especially on sort of in the event industry. On chat, if you're asking how do you like train chat GPT, I to kind of serve you better, it's like the information it gives you, it can serve you better, right? Like the YouTube example I use, like the more kind of prompts you give it, the better it'll get at answering your questions. Um, so that's been really powerful for me, especially when I use chat or when I'm using, different Hugging Face models or even Bard. It's like give it more information and it'll give you more information back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how you engage with that particular content, right?
Yep.
We seen this on TikTok, Instagram. The more you watch cooking videos and your friends when they like a specific recipe, that the AI will show to you the same video because it's part of your connections. So they
Yeah.
recommend most and so on. That's awesome. I think we maybe how many minutes more we have? Maybe 5 more minutes here before
Right.
we end. I don't know if there are coming more questions either from LinkedIn here in the chat as well or in the questions box. There is one question here that I like that is regarding analytics. Right, we were mentioning like data, and we're gonna collect more and more data on in-person events. Coming back, we see in-person events is pretty much the same peak before pandemic.
Mhm.
And event managers, event marketers, event planners, we needed to know how to read those data, also to provide a better uh, ROI to our sponsors. Is there something in particular that you recommend? I don't know, either to use a specific tool or what kind of integrations, any data integration that you have seen here in event. We have integrations with like a Salesforce, Marketo,
Mhm.
Fivetrend, Tremaine, big data analytics, so they can realize who are those people coming based on demographic, where they're coming from, what are their different industries, and what are the sessions they're watching when you have multiple sessions, if why they are picking one session instead of the other one.
Yeah, so essentially how one thing I want corporate event planners, especially like in the B2B space, is to upskill themselves, right? Like that's why AfterWork exists, is like all of that admin work of calling, texting, emailing vendors, looking at like where you're going to put your invite up. Are you going to use Luma, Eventbrite, Invent, like whatever they are? It's like there's so much information out there. And it's like, how do you first consolidate all of that and make a concerted decision? And then a lot of times what happens is marketing teams or sales teams or events teams or whoever's putting on the event, they don't know how to properly showcase the success metrics of the in-person event, the virtual event. And so, like you were saying, Vinny, showing metrics around like attendee attendance, if you may, to certain events of like, hey, like did they like this one better? Did this resonate with our audience better? How many people did we get on a Friday afternoon versus a Saturday morning? Things like that really impact how much budget and how much more kind of clout you're going to get in the industry, right? So really honing in on those specific things of, how do I track, did my attendee pay money for this, or did they come for free, right? Like what did they like? How did they resonate with our product? And really, really, or our brand, but like really understanding those things in event planning is where the industry needs to be versus where AI is coming in right now is like, hey, those like very repetitive tasks, let's automate them. That's where the creativity of the industry lies. That's what I full-heartedly believe is like, if we can just take off logistics for these people who are so in demand, they can actually start to create reports and really, really tap into creative events, and not be so bogged down.
That's perfect. Yeah, definitely resonate with what you said regarding even find the right location, either inside the city or in your state or in the country, or what is the best day, right, to run your event. Should
Yeah.
I start my events on a Sunday, or should I plan to start in the middle of the week and finish on Saturday? So I think those we needed to take advantage of data for those type of decisions, and maybe that also connects with one of the other questions we saw that what are the must uh, what are the must have in terms of using AI? What are the things you have to do with AI when you are planning an event? If you can give me maybe top two things you needed to do when you are using AI to your event planning.
Yeah. So, sorry, Vinny, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So what are the must have in terms of when you are using an AI? What are
Mm-hmm.
the two, three things you must do when you are using AI to plan your event?
So when you're using AI to plan your event, I would say right now there there are a lot of integrations. There's a lot of and Vinny, I think this is great for you too. Is like you know, there's a lot of companies, like larger companies that who've been in the realm of like event attendees, kind of gathering data on that, or like really really siphoning like ticketing or getting attendees into the door. They have a lot of GPT integrations, and I don't want to like give too much clout to like competitors here, but there's a lot out there, and it's kind of like what I've noticed is what event managers and event marketing teams really like to use. So if HubSpot is your bread and butter, HubSpot has different like CRM integrations that can really make those repetitive tasks a lot easier. At Afterwork, what we're building is essentially crunching all the data on who's the best venue, who's the best vendor, who's the best person to work with on this day. Are they available? Are they within budget? Do they work with their timeline? Do they work with the city you want to be in? Do they have the teams and the operations that you're looking for? Do they do you want outside catering? Do you want inside catering? So we're really really automating the process around which, if most of our audience is event planners and event marketers, you are all aware that there's a lot of phone calling and texting going on there. So what we're doing is essentially you submit a query, goes through, and essentially what you do is you come back and you're like, did it go through? Was it approved or was it denied? So that's what we're doing at Afterwork, making it a lot simpler and a lot more seamless for users to just plan better events. That's what we stand for at Afterwork. And then I would say definitely look out for our product that is coming out. I would say we're in beta MVP stages right now, but it is coming out in about a week, actually, as of today. So I'm sure we can get everybody's emails and send them the update there.
That's exciting. Yeah, amazing. Congrats for this release. I personally would say we right now I see everyone fighting for any penny, any dollar. So try to use AI to compare your pricing, compare like different options. When you're going to vendors, try to understand how can you use AI to leverage this data that you have probably on just a spreadsheet. So how you can really empower all this information you have that is only on sheets, and you needed to analyze what's the best decisions, because right now we needed to save money. It's one thing, and come with ideas. Try to also improve your events. Are a lot of visual. You must be visual appealing, right? You needed to improve the way you deliver your content. So focus especially on images. Mid Journey can help you to create like a very unique images on Mid Journey, but make sure you are working with very good professional first, to with good photos of like previous events or similar events that you run, to potentialize all those your event announcements, your event um, advertisement, how you're exposing your event outside. So I think we can definitely use AI for those capabilities, and connect with automation tasks, as you mentioned, like here on an event. The attendance tracking on your different sections also.
Vinny, you broke out just for another 5 seconds. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, so I think AI on different tools like we have here to automate those workflows, automate workflows on communication, on ticket when you need to sell tickets or invite your guests, right? You have a specific um, message that you needed to send every week to your guests, so you needed to use AI for those automations.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We can collaborate more on any other projects related to AI. We're gonna see this as a major solution for, especially I believe in next year, 2024. This year, I think we're gonna learn what we need to do. We are learning, we are testing, we are improving, and definitely next year will be the year for AI. So I hope we can also meet soon here in New York or in San
Absolutely.
Francisco or whatever here in the country.
Yes, maybe we'll see each other in an event.
Yeah, I hope so in person, right? Not
There
just
you go.
webinars or virtual.
There you
That's
go.
the
There you
way.
go. No, really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. And then to the audience, you can definitely check us out at goafterwork.com. And then, yeah, Vinny, looking a lot forward to kind of how we're going to work, if we can work together. I know we were talking about some ideas offline, so really excited to see what Invent puts out.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy summer. Bye.